stew this afternoon. Yes, I believe that's what it is. And I've already have everything out, and I'll tell you about it. One of the first things is that I'm going to add a grain to this. Instead of a noodle or a bean, I'm going to use bulgur, which is a grain. So I have just under 1/8 of a cup of dry bulgur. I bought it in bulk from the health food store. And I've got 2/3 a cup of water on the back burner. It's just beginning to warm up now, so I'm going to go ahead and dump it in. And then usually it will come to a medium boil, and then you simmer it and let the water absorb, and then the bulgur will be done. I may have used too much water, so I'll just have to pay attention. Otherwise, I have a stew that I'm going to create, and I was thinking of vegetables and protein, spices, and how to make it colorful. So I suggest that's what you do, on your cutting board, or as you're pulling things out of the refrigerator, think of the different colors, because in the colors come the nutrients. So I have orange, sweet potato, yellow pepper, green beans, onions, and just 1/4 of a cup of diced tomatoes. I had opened a can some time ago and froze them, so this is a 1/4 cup of that. And there's a little bit of protein in the sweet potatoes and a little bit of protein in the grain, but the most protein is going to come from a meat substitute. For me, you could use chicken or beef yourself. So I just opened the freezer and was like, which one haven't I used lately, kind of thing. And I chose to use the veggie strips that you find in the deli section, and I used the beef style. And I cut them so that they would be, I cut them in half. And I used about 30 calories worth, so half of a serving probably of what the package says. So, I'm making this for 1 to 3 people, so it was like a 1/4 of the pepper, a handful of green beans, 1/4 of a sweet potato, 1/8 of an onion, that sort of thing. So this pan is getting warm, and what I'm going to do, and what you should do, is look at the vegetables that you picked out. Which ones take the longest to cook, because they're going to have to simmer longest. But I think we all start the saute with our onions. So we spray the pan. How many times have you seen me do this? I'm going to rinse the pan because it was too hot. I always think I should get it started before I turn on the camera so that it's ready when I'm ready. Too soon. Okay. So now I'm going to start with the onions and the sweet potatoes and the green beans, because the green beans are fresh. I got it at the farmer's market this morning. Not frozen. If they were frozen, I would put them in at the end. So those vegetables first: green beans, sweet potato, and onion. And I will simmer fry those. I'm going to season it with fresh garlic. Meanwhile, that's come to a boil in the back. I'm not going to put the bay leaves in yet. That's my other spice. Fresh garlic, garlic clove, and bay leaf. So this isn't going to take very long to fry up, and I'm going to simmer fry. I will probably simmer fry that liquid out twice, and then I will add a can of Swanson vegetable broth and the rest of my ingredients, including the tomato and the bay leaf, and let it cook, simmer very low. I'm going to say a ½ hour. So right now it's on pretty high, and let that water boil out, and I'm going to put a little bit more in, let it boil out, and then I'll add the broth, yellow pepper, and the veggie strips, and the tomato. I might add, in fact I will, I'm going to add the pepper and the tomato with the broth, and maybe do that 20 minutes, and then add the veggie strips for only about 5 minutes of full cook time, and I'll stir the cooked bulgur in when I'm taking it off the stove. So I'm thinking of what needs to cook the least and the most. And I think that those veggie strips, they just really need to be heated, and I don't want to make them tough. So I'll put them in second to last, and the bulgur goes in last when it's actually off the burner. Right now it's very pretty, though lacking the nice yellow. That's going to look good. And I will show you the finished product. So again, simmer fry the longer cooking vegetables first, simmer fry twice, and then add yellow pepper, broth, and tomato and bay leaf. Cook for about 20 minutes, and then finalize your ingredients. That's all. I'll be back. Okay, my stew is done, but I have to tell you, I cooked it a lot longer than I said. I still put the bulgur and the veggie strips in at the end, but I just let it simmer at a higher temperature a lot longer because I think I didn't need that whole can of vegetable broth. I should have used maybe half of it, and it was too soupy. So now it's still a little soupy, but more like stew. And I am taking out my bay leaves. I put 2 in there. I'll probably see the other one as I pour this into this last bowl, so I'm hoping you can see how nice and colorful it turned out. This has less than 200 calories, the whole bowl full. There's the other leaf. Full of protein, lots of nutrients, and I'm going to walk over to the camera and try to zoom that in, and then I'll end it there. So, what were the ingredients for this? Veggie strips, onions, sweet potato, green beans, yellow pepper, diced tomatoes, vegetable broth, bay leaf, garlic, and bulgur for a nice vegetarian, high protein stew.